Glad to have you back to 1337, the future of podcast, the show that takes your pile of sources and turns them into knowledge gold. I'm Max.
And I'm Sophia.
It seems like someone's been digging into Dan Brown's Angels and Demons. We're talking excerpts, reviews, even a fact check on antimatter. Gotta love a good thriller, right?
Looks like you're interested in not just the story, but also how Brown blends fact with fiction. Am I right?
Exactly. I have to admit, the novel's opening grabbed me. Secret societies, a dead pope, mysterious symbols. What a page-turner. Where should we even begin this deep dive?
Well, let's start with the Illuminati, this shadowy organization supposedly pulling the strings. They're presented as infiltrating institutions, seeking revenge against the church. Makes you wonder how much of this is based in reality.
I did some digging, and it turns out the Illuminati actually existed.
They did. A real secret society, founded in Bavaria back in the 1700s. But, and here's the interesting part, they were way less powerful than the book makes them out to be.
So Brown took some creative liberties there. The novel also links Galileo to the Illuminati. Was there any historical basis for that?
While Galileo was a controversial figure, challenging the church's views, there's zero evidence he was involved with secret societies. It's fascinating how Brown blends history with fiction to create a captivating narrative.
Totally. One thing that struck me was antimatter as this incredibly powerful destructive force.
Right.
A bomb made from it, could that actually exist?
This is where it gets really interesting. Antimatter is absolutely real. Scientists have even created tiny amounts of it. And what's even cooler, the book's description of antimatter annihilating with matter, releasing a huge burst of energy, is scientifically accurate.
Hold on, so you're saying a bomb like that could be out there. The book mentions 5 kilotons. How powerful is that?
To put it in perspective, the Hiroshima bomb was about 15 kilotons. So yeah, a quarter gram of antimatter would be devastating. But here's the catch. Creating and containing that much antimatter, way beyond our current technology.
Okay, that's a relief. What really intrigued me was the novel using art as clues. Our symbologist, Robert Langdon, uses sculptures by Bernini to decode the Illuminati's trail. Is that realistic? Could someone actually solve a mystery like that using art?
What's fascinating is that Bernini was a real influential artist. His works are packed with symbolism. Using art to decode clues might seem far-fetched, but it makes you think about those hidden meanings, those interpretations within art.
Absolutely. The story takes us on this chase through Rome, hitting iconic landmarks like the Pantheon, St. Peter's Square, even secret Vatican passages. Wait, are there really secret passages in the Vatican? Sounds like something out of a movie.
The Vatican, with its long, complex history, is full of secrets. Secret passages and hidden rooms have been found over the years. One example, the Passetto, a passage connecting the Vatican to Castel Sant'Angelo.
Wow, that's incredible. The book also mentions a secret vault in the Vatican archives where Langdon finds Galileo's hidden writings. Could such a vault really exist?
The Vatican secret archives are real, holding an incredible collection of documents. While a hidden vault, like the book describes, might be fictional, it taps into our fascination with the Vatican's secrets, the possibility of undiscovered treasures hidden within its walls.
It definitely sparks the imagination. So we've got real science, real history, and a good dose of conspiracy woven into this fictional narrative. Is Angels and Demons trying to trick us, or just using these elements to tell a good story?
That's the question, isn't it? It gets at the heart of storytelling, blending fact and fiction to create something entertaining and thought-provoking. It's really up to the reader to decide where to draw that line between what's real and what's imagined.
It definitely keeps you guessing. I was completely captivated by the story's twists and turns. We meet the Camerlengo, the late Pope's Chamberlain, thrust into authority. Then there's the conclave, the secret process for electing a new pope. The book dives into these behind-the-scenes details of the Vatican, which I found fascinating.
It gives you a glimpse into this usually hidden world, right? Exploring the Camerlengo's duties, the rituals of the papal election, the power dynamics.
And then there's the twist, the Illuminati claiming they killed the Pope.
Yeah.
Not only that, they've kidnapped 4 cardinals, the Preferiti, who are top contenders for Pope. Talk about a ticking time bomb.
Right, and they threaten to kill each cardinal at a different spot in Rome, leaving clues that form this path of elimination. It becomes a race against time for Robert Langdon and Vittoria Vetra to decipher the clues and save them.
The stakes couldn't be higher. A secret society, kidnapped cardinals, a missing antimatter bomb, and a race to prevent a catastrophe. It's a wild ride.
It really is. And it takes us on a journey through the heart of Rome, weaving together art, history, science, religion. It's thrilling and thought-provoking.
So let's delve deeper into that first part of their investigation. Where does this path of illumination lead them?
The first clue points them to the Chigi Chapel, a lesser-known spot within St. Peter's Basilica. This is where Langdon's symbology expertise really comes into play.
And what about the Camerlengo? He's got a whole other set of challenges back at the Vatican.
Exactly. He's caught between a rock and a hard place. He has to deal with the skeptical Swiss Guard, led by Commander Olivetti, who doubt the Illuminati threat. But at the same time, the Camerlengo is starting to believe the danger is real.
So there's this clash between faith and reason. He wants to believe in prayer and divine intervention, but he's also facing this real, terrifying threat.
Absolutely. He's got to make tough decisions, balancing his faith with the need to protect the church and its people. It really explores the complexities of leadership and responsibility.
So while the Vatican is reeling from news of the murder, Langdon and Vittoria are racing to find the next cardinal. Where does the path of illumination lead them next?
The second marker points them towards the Church of Santa Maria della Vittoria. This church houses another Bernini masterpiece, the Ecstasy of St. Teresa, known for its intense symbolism.
With that connection between Bernini's art and the Illuminati, I'm guessing this sculpture holds the key to the next location.
You got it. Langdon believes the sculpture's symbolism will lead them to the second cardinal. But just as they're unraveling the mystery, they hit a roadblock.
Who's standing in their way this time?
Commander Olivetti, and he's furious. He found out Langdon and Vittoria disobeyed his orders by sneaking into the Church of Santa Maria del Popolo. He's determined to stop them from causing any more trouble.
This must be intense. Olivetti, a man of action, driven by duty, clashing with Langdon and his intellect, his belief that he can solve this.
It's a clash of personalities, worldviews. Langdon tries to reason with him, explaining the urgency. They need to find the next cardinal, but Olivetti is not budging. He orders his men to detain them.
Sounds like they're trapped. How do they get out of this?
Just when it seems like all hope is lost, the unthinkable happens. The entire Vatican City is plunged into darkness.
A blackout. In the middle of all this chaos. What could have caused that?
It turns out the Camerlengo, realizing they need drastic measures, has ordered a citywide blackout. He knows Langdon and Vittoria are the only ones who can stop this, and he's willing to risk everything to give them a chance.
That's a bold move. It shows his growing trust in Langdon, putting his faith in human ingenuity, even as he's wrestling with his own faith in God.
The blackout gives them their window. They slip away from the Swiss Guard in the darkness and continue their pursuit of the path of illumination.
So they're back on the trail. Where does the next clue take them?
Langdon uses his knowledge of Bernini and the Ecstasy of St. Teresa to decipher the clue. He determines the next location is Piazza Barberini. It's home to another prominent obelisk, one of 4 marking this path of illumination.
The obelisks are like silent sentinels, pointing the way through this maze of clues and danger. But with the Vatican on high alert, it's got to be even harder for Langdon and Vittoria to stay ahead of the Illuminati.
You're right. They're racing against time, and the Illuminati are closing in. As they head towards Piazza Barberini, they realize they're being followed. The stakes have never been higher, and the chase is on.
Piazza Barberini with its fountain and that huge obelisk, it must be an incredible sight. But for Langdon, it's more than just a landmark, right? It's another piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. He realizes the obelisks they've encountered at each location aren't just random. They're markers guiding them along this path of illumination. And the one in Piazza Barberini. It points towards the next clue. A sculpture called the Vesponente, located in St. Peter's Square.
St. Peter's Square. It must be packed with people, especially with the conclave going on. How do they even begin to find one sculpture in all that chaos?
It's like searching for a needle in a haystack, right? But Langdon knows he has to find that third cardinal. Time is running out.
While Langdon and Vittoria are facing those impossible odds in St. Peter's Square, what's happening with the Camerlengo?
Well, the Camerlengo, guided by his intuition and the sense of urgency, has been desperately searching for that missing antimatter canister. His search takes him deep beneath the Vatican to the Vatican Necropolis, an ancient burial ground under St. Peter's Basilica.
Wow. The Vatican Necropolis. Steeped in history and religious significance, what a setting. And to think, the Camerlengo is down there searching for a weapon of mass destruction.
It really highlights that contrast, doesn't it? The sacred and the secular, the ancient and the modern. And in the heart of it all, the Camerlengo makes a shocking discovery. He finds the antimatter canister, resting on top of St. Peter's tomb.
That's chilling. They chose to hide this weapon in one of the holiest places in Christendom. What does the Camerlengo do?
He knows he has to act fast, minutes to spare before it detonates. He grabs the canister and races back to the surface, but as he emerges, it's chaos. The Swiss guard, alerted to his presence, they confront him, demanding to know what he's doing.
This is a huge moment for him, caught between protecting the church and trying to save it from annihilation.
He realizes there's no time to explain. So in a really bold move, he commandeers a Swiss guard helicopter and takes off, antimatter canister in tow.
Wow. A man of faith, piloting a helicopter over Rome with a ticking time bomb. It transcends expectations, both for science and religion.
Langdon sees this incredible sight and understands what he's doing. He's gonna fly that canister away from the city, sacrifice himself to save everyone.
What an act of selflessness.
Yeah.
But can he fly far enough, high enough, to prevent a catastrophe?
Meanwhile, back in the Vatican, the cardinals are proceeding with the papal election, completely unaware of the true danger right outside their door. The conclave is in full swing, with Cardinal Mortati, the great elector, presiding over it all.
The contrast between those two scenes is striking. The Camerlengo in the sky with a doomsday device, and the cardinals solemnly casting their votes. It's like two worlds colliding.
As the cardinals vote, the Camerlengo, high above Rome, struggles to control the helicopter. He knows time is running out. In a final act of sacrifice, he flies to a safe distance and leaps out. The helicopter crashes, taking the antimatter with it.
A moment of both tragedy and heroism. The Camerlengo, driven by faith and love for the church, gives his life to save others. What an ending.
But the story doesn't end there. Back in the Sistine Chapel, Cardinal Mortati announces a miracle. They believe the Camerlengo has ascended into heaven in a pillar of fire.
Wow, what a turn of events. His sacrifice, interpreted as a divine act, just strengthens his image as this saintly figure.
The cardinals, inspired, elect the Camerlengo as the new pope. It seems faith has triumphed. The church is ready to move forward.
But there's one last twist, isn't there? Something that challenges this resolution.
You're thinking of Maximilian Kohler, the CERN director who was injured. He's still alive, clinging to life, and he's determined to expose the truth.
What truth?
Kohler reveals the Camerlengo wasn't a saint, but a mastermind. He orchestrated this whole thing, the entire Illuminati plot, to create a crisis of faith and emerge as a savior.
That's a huge revelation. It changes everything we thought we knew about him. What would drive him to such extremes?
Kohler explains the Camerlengo had discovered a secret. The late Pope had fathered a child, and that child was the Camerlengo himself.
That changes everything. He wasn't just protecting the church, he was protecting his own legacy, his own secret.
But here's the fascinating part. Kohler's expose, meant to reveal the deception, actually does something else entirely. It reveals the power of the Camerlengo's plan.
What do you mean?
The world, watching everything unfold in Rome, experiences this resurgence of faith. His sacrifice, his supposed ascension, has sparked a spiritual awakening, even though it was all based on a lie.
That's incredible. The Camerlengo's plan, though born from deceit, achieved what he wanted. A revival of faith.
Yeah.
Makes you think about the nature of belief, doesn't it? The power of perception.
And in the end, his sacrifice, that leap of faith from the helicopter, it becomes a symbol of hope, of redemption. It blurs the lines between good and evil, faith and deception. It leaves us with more questions than answers.
Angels and Demons is more than just a thriller. It makes you think about the power of faith, the complicated relationship between science and religion. It challenges us to question our assumptions, look at things from different angles, and embrace the mysteries that are at the core of our beliefs.
It's a story that stays with you, making you think about truth, the power of symbols, and that search for meaning in a world that often feels chaotic.
If you're intrigued by what we've explored today, head over to our website, 1337podcast.com, for more on angels and demons.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
Strength and honor. I am Spartacus.
Thanks for watching. Tap into 1337podcast.com.